Hey everyone, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here with another PB&J card class. And in today's video, I will be making another one-layer brushstroke stamped card. And here is a little peek at the card that we will be creating today. And for this, I am going to be using a new cling stamp from Penny Black. This is called Fleeting Moment. And here is a look at that stamp that we'll be featuring today. And I'm going to start by doing my stamping using my MISTI stamp positioning tool onto Strathmore smooth Bristol cardstock. I love using the smooth Bristol paper with this brushstroke stamping. They're a match made in heaven. And I'm using my Distress ink pads, the mini size, which makes it really easy to get it onto just certain parts of the image. And I'm just patting those on there, a couple shades here of green. If I get any onto the flower petals, I'll just use my fingertip and wipe it off of there before stamping. I'm going to mist that with water and stamp it down onto my paper. Now I do have handy right next to me a paintbrush and some water. When you mist a stamp, sometimes you get droplets, blobs, or areas that don't get misted at all. So by having that paintbrush and a little bit of water handy, it's easy to go in and just blend out anything so that you're happy with the stamping. Now I'm going to clean off my stamp and move on to the flower petals. So I was in a little bit of a crazy mood and decided to go blue. Now I've done other cards with this in sort of what you'd more typically think of using, maybe like oranges and yellows, but I don't know, I was just in the mood for blue. So I added my blue ink, misted, and then I'm going to go in with that handy paintbrush and just some water to blend that out, sort of smooth things over. And you could absolutely stop right here. If you wanted just a very light, loose watercolor look, totally stop here and it's going to be stunning. I wanted to capture a little bit more of the detail that's included on the stamp. So our brushstroke stamps give you the option. You can go very light and loose with your stamping and the blending with water, or you can really go for the detailed look. So I'm going to go back in. Now I'm using an Archival ink in the color of Cobalt, and I'm going to go over mostly towards the center of the flower, kind of dab those edges so I don't have just a straight line where the ink pad stopped, and stamp that. And I find these Archival ink pads, the mini size is awesome for this, and they also have just sort of the right consistency of ink to capture the details of these brushstroke stamps without it getting blobby looking, if that technical term. And you can see as I stamp that, you can start to see those outlines, those stamens really show up as I stamp it. I also grabbed a Tombow marker and I'm just darkening up a couple of spots here, and wow, isn't that amazing what just a little bit of that will do. I'm going to color in on top of this stem and darken that up too, and the marker just allows me to get that ink in precisely the spot that I want it. And again, I'm going to do that on some of the leaves there. Now I'm going to grab our Sprigs stamp set. This is an older set, but it is great with these brushstroke stamps. So I'm going to use sort of the same process, and if you saw my previous video, I did this as well. This is kind of a formula for a really nice one-layer card using our brushstroke stamps. I start with kind of that primary focal flower, the large brushstroke stamp, which for us was this blue Fleeting Moment stamp. Then I grab a secondary stamp, which in this case is this sprig stamp, and I do stamp it in color. You could do, like I'm doing, a contrasting color like this yellow. You could also do a lighter version of your main focal point flower, so like a very light blue would look pretty on this if you wanted something more monochromatic. But I stamped this sort of layered with the brushstroke stamp. Now I am going back in and just adding some blending using my water, and then I'm going to go in now and use my marker to color the stems, the Tombow marker to color the stems. All of the exact colors that I'm using will be listed down in the YouTube description box below. I'll have a supply list for you there, and I will also list and link all of the Penny Black supplies that I'm using down there too. So be sure to check that out if you have any questions about the colors. Now I just kind of keep playing around with this, blending it out with the water. And I'm just going to clean off my stamp now. Now, in hindsight, I wish I hadn't added this next layer. So if you're making this card, maybe you don't want to add this layer. Maybe you like it and you want to add it. But I added a little bit of brown towards the center of those. Maybe it would have been okay if I hadn't misted it. I don't know. But I felt like, oh my gosh, I just ruined this whole card. But I didn't give up because I didn't want to start over. So I'm going to go back and put a little bit more orange and yellow onto the stamp so that brown isn't quite as bold, and then blend that out. And I think it worked out okay in the end. But don't give up. If you do something, just kind of roll with it and it'll probably end up being just fine. I stamped that again using that same process down below, just to sort of balance that. And I'm just taking this green marker directly to the paper to darken up those buds. I had already moved the stamp, so I couldn't restamp it, so I just went direct marker to the paper, which works for such a small area like that. So as far as the sort of formula for a one-layer brushstroke cards, I have my primary image, that large fleeting moment, that new stamp. I added my secondary image, which is a smaller floral, and now I'm going to add my third sort of filler in a neutral color. I'm going to use 40-708 Fragile Beauty. This is a really great set. You can use it with florals for sort of a filler. You can also use it for winter and sort of snow and scenic cards. And here I'm going to stamp this using antique linen, and it's just going to kind of fill in and finish this off. So if you have some brushstroke stamps or you want to try these new stamps and you're looking for card ideas, it's really fun to play with this formula of the main image, a smaller image still in color, and then a third layer in just a neutral color, sort of filling in the background. And I have these all kind of coming off from the left-hand side of the card just for some interest, and that's where I focused that stamping of that filler Fragile Beauty stamp. My sentiment comes from this new set Mama Bear, so don't forget to check out some of your critter stamps if you want a little small sentiment. Sometimes there's some really good ones in there. And I just stamped that onto the card, and the one layer card is complete. So here is a look at that finished card. I'm really happy with how it turned out, even though I stamped that brown on those yellow flowers. I thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit that bell so you're notified of new uploads, and give us a thumbs up. You can also connect with Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, as well as our Instagram, website, and blog, and I'll link all of those for you down in the description box below. Happy stamping!